finalize the full coaching staffs and football operations for all of its XFL teams. They put out this press release today. The coaching staff will continue to actively scout potential players in preparation for the XFL Draft in November of 2022 and begin game planning for the 2023 season. All names of the head coach pairings can be found below. Of course, Russ Brandon says they're excited to bring back blah, blah, blah. We all know that. The XFL will kick off on February 18th. We all know that. Season tickets are underway. So Bob Stoops, director of team operations of Arlington, you got Stoops, Matt McMillan, Rick Mueller. Co-offensive coordinator will be Jonathan Hayes and Chuck Long. Remember Jonathan Hayes. Running backs coach Reggie Davis. Offensive line Jim Himbach. Tight end, who I believe returns. Tight end special teams Scott Spurrier returns. Jay Hayes and Tim Lewis will be your co-defensive coordinators. Tim Lewis and Jay Hayes will be they're back also, I believe. Linebackers, Bill Sheraton, Marvin Sanders as the cornerbacks. Quality control, Michael George. Blake Kunzins Z is the equipment manager. Chris Brooks is the video manager. That's for Arlington. For Houston, we got Wade Phillips. Daniel Lee is the team operations. Player personnel, Mark Lillybridge. Offensive coordinator, A.J. Smith. Wide receivers, Peyton Pardee. Offensive line is Andre Gurdy. Running backs, John Estes. Quality control, Marvin Williams. Defensive coordinator will be Brian Stewart. Defensive line, Bill Johnson. Linebackers, A.J. Hezig. Defensive back, Morgan Ford. Special teams will be Greg McMahon, no relation to Vince. Athletic trainer, Joe Renzinzi. Video manager will be Brian Martin, and Jared Muskowski is the equipment manager. In Orlando, Terrell Buckley is the head coach. Of course, we all know that. Team operations is Patrick Austin, and Larry Lee's player personnel. Offensive coordinator, running backs coach is Robert Ford. Assistant head coach will be Lamar Thompson. Shane Matthews is the quarterback's coach. You know that is Shane Matthews. Yeah, that from the Gators, I believe, and also in the NFL. Offensive line is Keith Wagner. Defensive coordinator and cornerbacks is Tony Carter. Defensive line, Ty Warren. Linebackers, Mark Snyder. Safeties is Ronnie Lee. Rachel Sharp is your athletic trainer. Bobby Monica is your equipment manager. And Ben Lawson is your video guy. Las Vegas, team operation was Rod Woodson. Tamiko Richardson is your team operations. Player personnel is Joey Clickscales. Ray Sherman, we talked about that last week, is your wide receivers guy. Charlie Iger is your tight ends. Defensive coordinator, Chris Dishman, plucked straight from the USFL. Darren Perry is your guy. Nice name. Defensive backs. Linebackers is Dr. Jen Welter. We talked about her last week. Offensive line is Bob Wiley. We also talked about him last week. Quality control, Franco Aurelios. Athletic trainer is Justin Bland. Bob Wick is your equipment manager, and Brendan Taylor is your video manager. In San Antonio, Hines Ward, of course, is your head coach. Jose Jefferson is team operations. Player personnel is Will Lewis. Offensive coordinator, Jamie Elizondo. We recognize him from the Vipers. Quarterbacks coach is Josh Newslander. Jimmy Johnson is the running backs coach. Not that Jimmy Johnson. Defensive line, Pete Mangurian. Offensive line, Pete Mangurian. Defensive coordinator, Jim Herman. He is back. Paul Spicer, defensive line. He is from he coached in the USFL. Linebacker coach, yeah, that's right. Joey Porter. We all know Joey Porter from his Steeler days. Defensive backs, Corey Chamblin. Darius Bell returning, assistant defensive backs coach. Tight end special teams is Scott Boone. Athletic trainer, Robert Roche, and Cortez Martin is your equipment manager. Chris Miller is a video guy. For Seattle, Jim Haslett, of course, is the head coach. Pat Matthews is team operations. Player personnel is Randy Mueller, returning to the XFL. Offensive coordinator, our man, Joan Jones. That's right, returning as OC. That's really cool. We all knew about that. Quarterbacks is Dan Morrison. Dennis McKnight is your offensive line. Wes Swan is your running backs. Special team wide receivers is Ty Knox. Ron Zook is defensive coordinator. Chip Garber is your defensive line, your front seven. Linebackers is Matt Fleschker. Defensive backs is Mike Gillhammer. Aaron McGinty is your safety quality control. Athletic trainer is Scotty Patson. Trevor Bueno is your equipment manager, and Drew Schlarenbach is your video manager. Anthony Becht, his team, the St. Louis, most likely Battlehawks. Team operation, Anastasia Ali and Dave Bowler is your player personnel. Bruce Gradkowski, offensive coordinator. Running backs, Art Valerio. Wide receiver of St. Louis, Ricky Prohl returns. So that was the big name from St. Louis returning. Offensive line, Pat Pearls. Mark Lee is your offensive line assistant. Donnie Abraham, back in the NFL days, is your defensive coordinator. Leroy Glover, defensive line, also a former NFL guy, I believe, right? Linebackers, Dave Steckel, athletic trainer Eric Alva. Todd Hewitt is your equipment manager, and Sean Hollister is video manager. And your Washington, D.C. team, America's team, the Washington, D.C. maybe Defenders. Reggie Barlow, Stacy Johnson is your team operations. Player personnel is Vaughn Hutchins. Offensive coordinators Fred Cass. Avery Robinson is wide receivers. Cody Krills is your tight ends. Shannon Harris is quarterbacks. Offensive line is Russ Infield. Greg Williams, you all know him. Defensive coordinator Jeremy Watkins is your defensive line. Vernon Dean's defensive backs. Special teams and linebackers. Yeah, Ravens, Jamie Sharper. That's right. Former Raven linebacker, world Super Bowl champion Jamie Sharper. Deion Harris is quality control. Chris Lackasimana is your athletic trainer. Van Dyke Jones is equipment manager, and Caleb Stuvant is your video manager. One of the interesting things to take away from the finalized coaching staff is even though you have Jordan Palmer working with the quarterbacks, a lot of these teams still have their own quarterbacks coach, which was really, I wasn't really sure if teams would, to save money, would not have quarterbacks coach, but I assume they're all going to work in tandem with Palmer on these coaching staffs. But there you got it. You have the final full coaching staff. A bunch of guys from the USFL jumped ship to the XFL, but now we have the full coaching staffs and some surprises in there, some former big NFL names. It is sure it'll be very interesting to see how all that goes behind the scenes if they have a TV show in the XFL. But there you have it, friends, the full coaching staffs in the XFL.